Hi, my name's Scott Chaplowe, and it's an absolute privilege to have this opportunity to speak to the SMEA board. The slide summarizes the questions I've been asked to respond to. I just want to point out that I believe seeking different perspectives for future forecasting, as SMEA is doing now, is in itself an example of things it can be doing. So I commend this initiative. I didn't need to think twice about what to speak about for this talk. I believe evaluation and VOPIs that support it need to step up and support positive transformational learning and change. What I call the transformational imperative is a response to the urgency of the times. It's reflected in the transformational UN 2030 agenda and its 17 sustainable development goals. And it basically is calling for radical, deep, and complete global systems change for the survival of humanity. And this might sound rather extreme, but the indicators are already all around us, from fires and floods to plagues and social unrest. And the science, quite frankly, is pointing to a near-term collapse scenario in society if things continue under the business as usual scenario. So circling back to the question of what SMEA should be planning to do to make a difference, my answer is to advocate and build capacity for evaluation that supports positive transformational learning and change. Evaluation in itself is in the business of advising and solving problems. So I think it's uniquely positioned to leverage transformational change for more socially, environmentally responsible policy, strategy, programming, and the other types of interventions that we evaluators evaluate. But to do this, evaluation needs to transform itself if it's going to have transformational potential. And as the slide reflects, I'm not alone in thinking this. So what does evaluation need to transform? We need to move away from evaluation as usual that reinforces business as usual. And this will largely entail the uptake of complex systems analysis, for which I identify 4 boxes or barriers, which I'll talk about now. The first is what I call the project box. We need evaluation that prioritizes accountability to the planet and its inhabitants, rather than discrete projects and other types of interventions and those who fund them. Measurement and evaluation should not be confined to project and other intervention conceptual frameworks, such as logic models and theories of change, and their predetermined results and key performance indicators. What we need is to include the evaluation of unintended consequences on the larger human and natural systems in which the interventions are delivered. The second obstacle is what I call the temporal box. And I think unanticipated events such as COVID-19 underscores that reality doesn't always conform to the project budgets and reporting timeframes that we evaluate. We need more iterative monitoring as evaluation to support course correction, rather than limiting evaluative thinking to the conventional and eventful baseline, midline, and final evaluation recipe. At SMEA's last conference, international conference last year, I actually gave a presentation with my colleague Silva Ferretti on this topic of monitoring as evaluation. The quantitative box has been referred to as OMD, or obsessive measurement disorder, and it occurs when the production of quantitative data undermines the very interventions it's supposed to support. You often hear, it's often asserted, what gets measured gets done, but another important witticism worth repeating is, not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. And then our last box, an accountability fixation, underlies and fuels the other boxes. Given the evaluation marketplace, too often evaluation is consigned to a descriptive tick box accounting exercise fixated on whether something is done right versus whether the right thing is being done in the first place. So in conclusion, each of these boxes limiting evaluation's transformational potential actually point towards advocacy and capacity development areas for an influencer like Samia to consider for its strategic planning. As the slide quote from Bob Picciotti underscores, it's really an exciting time for transformational change in the field of evaluation. And I truly believe that a VOPI like Samia is well positioned to help leverage this needed change, particularly in the South. So the last question we were asked to speak to is, who could Samia partner with? And I think this slide highlights some communities of practice and publications for Samia to consider. I specifically want to flag the collaboration with other VOPIs as a valuable opportunity to scale influence. I'm sure you know that Ian Goldman is now leading up the International Evaluation Academy, for which I'm also on the board. Another example is the AEA has a systems and evaluation TIG, and just this November, a systems approaches and evaluation TIG was formed in the EES. Another consideration is collaboration with the International Working Group of the AEA, for which I'm a member, so feel free to reach out. And I also want to flag that I think it's important to consider collaboration with non-evaluation forms, such as the transformational community, because I think these types of transdisciplinary exchanges are a great opportunity to nudge us evaluators to think outside our field of evaluation. So again, I want to thank Samia for this opportunity to share my perspectives. I hope I kept it under 5 minutes, and I wish you all the best in your strategic planning journey. Thank you.